Geoffrey Royce Rojas, known by his stage name Prince Royce, is an American singer-songwriter and record producer from the Bronx. At an early age, Royce took an interest in music and into his teenage years, began experimenting with music and writing poetry. By age 19, Royce met Andrés Hidalgo, who became his manager. Hidalgo later introduced Royce to Sergio George, who immediately signed him to his label after hearing 3 of his demos. In March 2010, he released his eponymous debut studio album, which generated 2 commercially successful singles, Stand By Me, and Sin Cara. Both songs reached number 1 on the Billboard Tropical Songs chart, while Sin Cara reached number 1 on the U.S. Hot Latin Songs chart. The album itself reached number 1 on the U.S. Billboard Latin Albums and Tropical Albums charts. He also received 3 awards at the Billboard Latin Music Awards in 2011, which included Tropical Album of the Year for Prince Royce. Prince Royce was listed as one of the 50 most beautiful on the magazine People and Espa Plus or Minus All in 2011. On April 10, 2012, Royce released his second studio album, Phase 2. In November 2012, Royce released a compilation album entitled Number Ones, a collection of his hits thus far. Life and Career, 1989–2009, Early Life and Career Beginnings. Geoffrey Royce Rojas was born on May 11, 1989 and raised in the Bronx, a borough of New York City, New York. He is the second oldest out of 4 children, born to a Dominican father, who was a taxi cab driver, and a Dominican mother, who worked at a beauty salon. When he was young, he participated in choir in elementary school, competed in talent shows and, at the age of 13, began writing poetry which turned into songwriting. Recalling his first time performing before a crowd, he said, "Elementary school, I was singing a Christmas song. I felt really comfortable on stage." At age 15, Royce had began making music with a partner named Jose Cusan, better known as Gino. The duo was also known as Gino and Royce, El Duo Real. At the age of 16, Royce started making music with longtime friend and producer Donzel Rodriguez, and Vincent Outerbridge, known as El Snipe, and Vinicio of Snipet Productions. The duo eventually had a meeting with Atlantic Record in early 2007. With the decline of the reggaeton music, Royce made the ultimate decision to focus more on the bachata industry. At age 19, Royce met Andrés Hidalgo, who after hearing his previous demo instantly became his manager. Hidalgo began helping Royce work hands-on with bachata music. That was the turning point which helped Royce decide that pursuing a musical career is what he wanted to do. Hidalgo later introduced Royce to Sergio George, who immediately signed the former to his label, Top Stop Music, after listening to 3 of his demos. 2010–11, Prince Royce and Breakthrough. Royce released his eponymous debut studio album on March 2, 2010. The album was produced primarily by Hidalgo and Sergio George, with co-production duties by Royce. Carlos Quintana, of About.com, described the album's musical production as bachata with R&B and pop sounds, while AllMusic's Jason Birchmeier credited Hidalgo for the crisp production job, which is often spare but adds touches of urban beats here and there. Shortly after its release, it debuted on the Billboard Latin Albums chart at number 15. The lead single from the album, Stand By Me, a remake of Ben E. King's 1961 song, peaked at number 1 on the U.S. Billboard Tropical Songs chart, and also reached number 8 on the Hot Latin Songs chart. The album's second single, Sin Cara, was released in mid-February 2010 and peaked at number 1 on both the U.S. Hot Latin Songs and Tropical Songs charts. The album itself had eventually reached number 1 on the U.S. Billboard Latin Albums chart and was certified double platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America. In December 2010, Royce recorded a song with Sergio George called El Campo de Sui Plus or Minus Os, which is used as the theme song for Domingo de Grandes Ligas on ESPN. The album had earned Royce a nomination for Best Contemporary Tropical Album at the 2010 Latin Grammy Awards. Later that night, Royce performed the song Stand By Me alongside Ben E. King. At the 2011 Premio Lo Nuestro Awards, Royce won 3 awards in the tropical genre, including Male Artist of the Year, New Soloist or Group of the Year and Song of the Year for Stand By Me. Royce was also nominated for 6 awards at the 2011 Billboard Latin Music Awards. Ultimately, he had won 3 of them, which were Tropical Airplay Solo Artist of the Year, Tropical Album of the Year for Prince Royce, and Tropical's Album Solo Artist of the Year. With the help of Los de la NASA and Frankie El Jeef, Royce had collaborated with Daddy Yankee on a song entitled, Ven Conmigo, which will be included on the latter's album, Prestige. In May 2011, Royce signed on with Atlantic Records to release English-language albums. It is a joint partnership between Sergio George's Top Stop label and Atlantic. Royce is currently working on his second studio album, in which Mike Caron, Executive Vice President of A&R for Atlantic, said will be mostly in English with Latin music influences. It was announced by Enrique Iglesias that he will be touring with Royce and Pitbull as special guests during a leg which began in mid-September 2011. He was also featured in the 2011 issue of People en Español Plus or Minus Ol magazine as one of the 50 most beautiful. 2012, Phase 2. On April 10, 2012, Prince Royce released his second studio album titled Phase 2. The 13-track album incorporates a variety of music styles from bachata to mariachi. The album contains songs in both English and Spanish, as well as melodies atypical to traditional bachata music. Las Cosas Piqui Plus or Minus as debuted at number 1 on Billboard's Tropical chart, and eventually reached the number 1 position on Billboard's Latin Songs chart. The week of Phase 2's release, Prince Royce attended 4 autograph signing events in the United States. His appearance at a Chicago, Illinois location of FYE broke an attendance record for most visitors to an in-store music event also. Later in 2012, he was in the People en Español Plus or Minus Ol magazine Sexy edition, naming him as one of the sexiest men in 2012. His second album Phase 2 was then certified platinum in the US and Puerto Rico 6 months after its release. Soon after going platinum, Prince Royce's Phase 2 got nominated for a Latin Grammy for Best Tropical Fusion Album, making him a 3-time nominated artist. In November 2012, his label decided to release a collection of Prince Royce's hits thus far. Entitled Number Ones, released on November 19, 2012. It debuted at number 3 on the Hot Latin Albums chart. Included are his hits Stand By Me, Corazón Sin Cara, Las Cosas Piqui Plus or Minus As, Inconditional, and Te Me Vas. In 2013 he was honored with the BMI Latin Songwriter of the Year, 2013 a Euro Present, Soy El Mismo. In April 2013, it was announced that Royce had signed a record deal with Sony Music Entertainment to release his third Spanish-language studio album under Sony Music Latin and debut English recording under RCA Records. This came after the fizzled relationship between Royce and Top Stop, which ended in 2 lawsuits in which Royce was sued by that label for breach of contract. In a statement, Peter Edge, CEO of RCA Records, said, "We are thrilled about the opportunity to work with such a dynamic Latin artist on his first English album." Prince Royce, a Euro unregistered trademark's early successes have paved the way for the next generation of Latin music, and we are eager to join forces with our partners Sony Music Latin to fully maximize his music and career. Prince Royce is also one of the 3 coaches on Telemundo's La Voz Kids, a singing competition featuring kids aged 7 a Euro 15 with a $50,000 prize for their education. He became a winning coach for the first season with his team member Paula Guanc, and again in the second season with Amanda Mena. On July 15, 2013, the lead single from Royce's upcoming studio album was released titled, "Dart Un Beso." It reached number 1 on multiple Latin charts and was Latin certified 3x platinum. His third album, Soy El Mismo, was released on October 8, 2013. Discography, studio albums, singles. Featured singles, music videos, non-album songs, guest appearances, El Campo de Sui Plus or Minus Os, with Sergio George, composed by Lenti Landino, arranged by Guayanco Gar Cubed Mes, title song of Domingo de Grandes Ligas de ESPN. Awards and nominations. References. External links, official website, Prince Royce on Twitter, Prince Royce's Generation Next to The Village Voice.